I'm Lori Mattson, President and CEO of the Tri-City Regional Chamber. It's my pleasure to welcome you. I really like to see everybody networking. But if you could please take your seats, we're going to get started. I'd like to welcome you to State of Education K-12 Update. Our luncheon today is sponsored by GISA Credit Union. That's all right. I can wait, right? This is school, right? I can act like a teacher. Maybe we could turn the lights off. We could do a little clapping. What do teachers do to get people's attention, right? There we go. Or the glass tap. That works as well. Again, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's great to see all of you, and it is really nice to see you all connecting with one another. One of the most important things we can do together is educate our kids. With strong schools in every community, we can provide all the kids education necessary to be successful in their lives and careers and to be actively engaged in civic life. The immediate gains of education benefits the kids themselves, learning key academic concepts, developing social skills, building self-confidence, and establishing positive relationships with peers and mentors. These individual benefits accumulate over the long term to serve as a core foundation for strengthening our economy. In general, educated workforce have stronger economies with higher living standards. Education is immensely important in our region. In fact, education is one of the 6 big opportunity areas identified through the MyTri 2030 regional visioning process. This summer, we'll convene about 30 education experts and practitioners to hone specific actions and initiatives that our region can pursue over the next decade to reach the goal of delivering transformative educational experiences. Today, we've invited the superintendents of Kennewick, Pasco, and Richland school districts to share information about their districts. So I'd like to thank Michelle Whitney, Dr. Rick Schulte, and Greg Fancher, who is standing in today for Dave Bond, who's feeling under the weather. So thank you so much. We'll give you all a round of applause. We appreciate you taking time. As the school year closes, we know you have a lot of things to do, so we appreciate you taking your time today. I'd like to recognize elected officials that have joined us here today and ask if I mention your name to please stand, and we'll hold our applause till everybody's been introduced. From the city of Kennewick, we have Councilmember Bill McKay. From the city of Pasco, we have Councilmember Ruben Alvaredo. City of Richland, we have Councilmember Michael Alvarez. Port of Benton, Commissioners Jane Haggerty, Roy Keck, and Bob Larson. From the Port of Kennewick, we have Commissioner Don Barnes. And from the Kennewick School Board, we have Ben Messenger. And I'd also, well, if we forgot anyone, please stand if you're an elected official, and especially if we have any other school board members that are here that we just missed on our introduction. So thank you so much. Let's give them a round of applause. We appreciate you joining us. And our next item is the Pledge of Allegiance, but I was just reminded, and we did this last year too, and I think it's really important. With Memorial Day coming up this week, Memorial Weekend, I would like to invite any of our veterans to please stand so that we can recognize you as well. Do we have any veterans in the room? There we go. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you. And thanks for the gentle reminder to you know who. So thank you very much. Now if I could ask you all to please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Now, please help me welcome Elizabeth Holt, our Vice President. She's going to announce our Outstanding Member of the Month for May, as well as introducing the Chamber's newest members. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Lori. As she mentioned, I'm I have the honor of introducing some of our newest members who are able to join us here today. So if I call your name, please come forward to this stage and receive your membership plaque from Lori, and then hopefully we'll pose for a group photo. First, we have Nathan Robertson with Spotted Fox. Lindsay Kirby with Sculpt LLC. Fred Mears, Cascade Sign and Fabrication. And Julianne Wright with Atomic Escape Rooms. Looks like only, oh, here he comes. Well, thank you guys all for joining us today, and please give them a warm welcome if you see them. Let's give them one more round of applause. Next, we would like to recognize some of the Chamber's longest standing members. The members on the screen have been members of the Chamber or involved for 20 years or longer. Let's please give these members a round of applause as well. Lastly, I'm honored to announce the May Member of the Month. This month, the Awards and Recognition Committee has chosen Conover Insurance as Outstanding Member of the Month. Conover has been an active member of the Regional Chamber for nearly 30 years. They have participated in Chamber programs and events in almost every single aspect. The Ambassador Club, and Tawny is actually our Ambassador Club chair this year, sponsorships, events, and lots of volunteer time. They're also very active in community events, including the Taco Crawl, so thank you, Conover, Run for Ribbons, and they just made a significant contribution to the Playground of Dreams. Please help me welcome to the stage Tawny Gamma of Conover, and join me in celebrating Conover Insurance as Member of the Month. Perfect. Thanks, Tawny. Now I'll turn it back over to Lori.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. And thank you to our new members that have joined. And again, thanks to Conover. Tawny's a great, she's, as Elizabeth mentioned, our Ambassador Club chair this year and is a great help to us. Next, I'd like to introduce our luncheon sponsor, GISA Credit Union. And joining us today from GISA is the president and CEO and a member of the Chamber's Board of Directors, Don Miller. So please help me welcome Don Miller.
I won't take too long, maybe an hour or so don't worry about that. First, I want to thank the Regional Chamber for arranging the luncheon today. It takes a lot of work to coordinate this, and I'm excited about the topic, the state of education. That's important for all of us, and it's certainly important for our communities. A little bit about GISA Credit Union. We're a full-service financial cooperative, basically a financial institution, and we've been serving members in the Tri-Cities area since 1953. Well, we started here in the Tri-Cities. That was where our roots were. Now, anyone that lives in the state of Washington or the 8 northern counties of Idaho are eligible to be members with GISA Credit Union. As a credit union or a financial cooperative, we truly believe in the motto of people helping people, and that's part of the DNA at GISA Credit Union. We work diligently every day to serve our members and meet their financial needs, but we also work hard to serve our communities. We truly believe that healthy communities are good for our members. For GISA to serve our members and communities, it takes a great staff, so I want to take a moment and thank the GISA staff. Several of them are here today, many are not. I regularly tell them that they bring GISA to life each and every day, and I truly am grateful that I get to work with such a great staff. As GISA works to make a positive impact in our communities, I'm happy to say that last year GISA partnered and gave back over $1 million into the communities that we serve. Much of that was through efforts focused at education and financial literacy, ending hunger and addressing homelessness, and those are just to name a few. To help advance education and financial literacy, we are especially proud of the school partnerships that we have. We believe that the work our schools do are key to building our future and building future citizens that will be contributors in our society. Michelle, Dave, and Rick, and their teachers and staff are key to developing strong children and future leaders in our organization. They help establish the foundational skills and a sense of community that those are key to having future contributors in our society. To come alongside of our schools, GISA has developed a successful cooperative financial education program, or really, we call it the High School Credit Union Program. And this provides students real-life opportunity and real-life work experience. There's no fake money, there's not pretend accounts. These are actual accounts that these students are working on and learning on. And this cooperative education program provides the students that real-life hands-on experience. It provides them opportunities to advance their leadership skills and learn important job skills such as customer service. And that's we're in the service industry, that's important to GISA as well. Many of the students from this program actually come and work at GISA for some period of time. Some make a career out of it. Others take the skills that they've learned into higher education or out into the workplace. I'd actually like to take a moment and introduce the team that actually runs our high school credit union branches or program, and it's Amber Young and Brandon Allison sitting right over here. And Amber was actually a part of those high school credit union programs years ago. She was a manager of the high school credit union program, and during that period of time, she worked with us and kind of fell in love with marketing. And every year she'd go off to college and come back in the summer, and we would hire her on as a marketing intern. And the minute she received her marketing degree from George Fox, we quickly hired her full-time, and she works and helps support Brandon and lead the 11 high school credit union program day-to-day operations each and every day. So I want to recognize and thank them. We also have an Affinity High School Credit Union card. Many of you probably have them or have seen them. Every time one of those cards is swiped, GISA donates a certain portion of that transaction back to the participating school district. I'm pleased to say that last year, and we'd only been in this program for a little over 3 years, or right about 3 years, over $100,000 we gave back to the partnering schools this year. You will all be pleased to hear that we're trending to surpass $150,000 this year, so we're really excited about that. I know Dave's gone, so please pass this back to him. To Michelle, Dave, and Rick, I want to say we truly appreciate all that you do for our children and our communities. Often as a leader, and those of you that are, you know what I'm talking about, we generally or often hear people point out our weaknesses or how we could do our job better. I want to thank you and let you know that we truly appreciate all that you do, and the vast, vast, vast majority of people are grateful and thankful for what you do each and every day, and I want to give them a big round of applause. With that, I'm going to turn it back to Lori.
Don, thank you so much, and thanks for your words, and again, thanks to the GISA team here who, we've got a great gift. Everybody gets a tumbler. Those are really nice. We appreciate that, and thanks for everything you do for the Chamber and the community in general. So we're going to get to our speakers and our program, and to do that, I'm going to introduce Derek Stricker, the chair of the Chamber's board this year, who's going to run us through the rest of the program. So please help me welcome Derek.
I got walkout music, yeah. I did a little ad-libbing. You guys got to change names. I got to change music, right? So adult education, Hall & Oates, my favorite. Anyway, hey, thank you, Lori. The Regional Chambers decided to host today's State of Luncheon. Make sure you guys can hear me a little closer. State of the Education Luncheon, focusing on the K-12 schools in Tri-Cities. I myself am a byproduct of this community growth and school district growth here in this market. My class is 2002, was part of the population boom era, being part of a new middle school. Go Horse Heaven Hills. The brand new high school for the area in Tri-Cities. Go Southridge. The growth was desperately needed due to the expansion of the student population and their needs. The community growth continued while I was away during college. Go Zags. I know, it's small now, whatever. Okay, and a career away. But now being back in my 8th year as a professional in our community, I've seen nothing but strategic growth for our school districts, for our community. Growing and meeting the new demands that help our best asset, our K-12 kids, or as I call them, future generations of potential. Now, the inner high school leadership kid in me is pretty excited to introduce these superintendents. I like that stuff back then. I like it now. I'm excited to hear what they're up to. You ready with me? Our first speaker will be Greg Fancher. He is the Assistant Superintendent of the Kennewick School District in the elementary education. Greg's been an employee for the KSD for over 40 years. He served as the district as an elementary teacher, a principal, an assistant superintendent for the elementary education. Please welcome Greg.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here to represent Kennewick Schools. I have to tell you the truth, though, in full disclosure. This morning, about 10 o'clock, Dave called me into his office, and he was looking really bad. He does not get sick very often, and when he can't make something, you know he is really sick. And he said, I think I'm going to need you to do this presentation for me for the chamber. Do you think you can do it? I said, yeah, I can do it. So I have had from 10 o'clock until now to prepare for this presentation. And so if you look at your neighbor and think, you know what, I think he just made that up, you're probably right. I probably just made it up. But I'm really proud to share with you about our school district. We think we have a great school district and offer some great opportunities for kids. I'm going to divide this into 3 parts. First, we're going to give you some demographic information about our school district. We're going to talk to you about some facilities growth, and then talk to you about some challenges that the legislature presented to us this year. So first, in terms of enrollment, if you look at the slide up there, you can see that from 2006 to 2018, we've grown from 15,000 kids to about 19,000 kids, or roughly 300 kids a year. That's nice growth. It's still manageable. We can keep up with it at that pace. It causes some challenges, but it's nice growth to have. The biggest population that's growing for us is our bilingual population. And you can see we've grown from about 1,300 kids to 2,800 kids. And I want to show you in our facilities part of this some really neat things that we've done to help meet the needs of that growing population. Our free and reduced lunch count's gone from about 48% in 2008 all the way to 57% most recently. I believe the state average is about 54%, so we're just above that state average for free and reduced lunch. So this is just interesting because it makes that free and reduced meals thing come alive. So if you take that line where it says household size 3, that could be a single mom with 2 kids bringing home about $2,000 a month or about $2,700 a year. That's what it takes to qualify for free and reduced lunch. So you can see that that is a really needed thing for those families who are struggling financially. It's a big deal for us to be able to provide that opportunity for them. In terms of our budget, you can see that most of our revenue comes from the state. That's the goldenrod piece of the pie there. And then levy property tax and levy equalization money makes up most of the rest of our school district budget. We run a budget of about $253 million each year. Our expenditure budget on the other side, you can see that most of our costs are in employees and employee benefits. That's what we spend most of our money on. For certificated staff, that big blue piece of the pie chart represents our teaching staff. We employ a little over 1,000 teachers in our district. We have about 67 administrators. And then on the classified side, that's our paraeducators. We have about 328 paraeducators, about 121 secretaries. I was asked by our transportation department to let you know that we have about 76 bus drivers, and we're always looking for new bus drivers, right? It's a big challenge in all of our districts to keep our bus driving force up where it needs to be. So now I want to skip to the facilities part. And this is one of the things that we're really proud of. Over the years, our community has shown great support through our school, through their support of the bonds. In 2015, we passed a bond that helped us build the brand new Sagecrest Elementary School. We were able to take Desert Hills Middle School, and we basically moved it from the center of town to the west part of town where our population growth was. We built a brand new Chinook Middle School back in the center of town. We expanded Westgate Elementary School so it could be a bigger school to meet the class size reduction stuff that we're working on. And we opened Amon Creek out in the Meadow Springs area. And all that was done with a 2015 bond. Another thing that we've been able to do is we received a $50 million grant from the state of Washington to meet our class size reduction goals. The big issue around class size reduction is having enough classrooms to reduce class size down to that 20-to-1, 17-to-1 ratio that the state likes to see in grades K through 3. And so what we did with that money is we created a strategy that met our class size reduction goals on the west side of town, in the center of town, and on the east side of town. So we had already planned to build Amon Creek Elementary School when we received the grant. So what we did with Amon Creek is we expanded it from originally it was going to be about a 20 classroom school to a 36 classroom elementary school out by Meadow Springs so that we could meet those class size reduction goals. The really interesting thing about Amon Creek is that Amon Creek is in the city of Richland, but it's in the Kennewick School District, which confuses people because school district lines were drawn long before city boundary lines were drawn. And so it gets kind of wonky. People actually pay City of Richland taxes and Kennewick School District taxes who live out in the little boundary area out there. But Amon Creek is a beautiful elementary school. In the center of town, what we did is we created Fuerza Elementary School. Fuerza is a dual language school. The goal of that school is that when kids leave as fifth graders, they're biliterate, bicultural, and bilingual. And so we had that dual language program in 2 of our elementary schools, Edison Elementary School and Hawthorne Elementary School. We were able to bring all those kids, all those teachers together into one facility to create this bilingual, biliterate, bicultural environment for our kids to grow up or to work in. It's been a hugely successful school. Every adult in that school is bilingual. They speak both Spanish and English, which has been a great accomplishment for us. On the east side of town, we're expanding Amistad Elementary School. Our biggest challenge in this class size reduction initiative was to figure out what to do on the east side of town because there's not big chunks of property. And so if you think about where Amistad is, it sits off of 4th Avenue across the street from the bowling alley. Right across from Amistad on 4th Avenue between 4th and 10th, and then between Olympia Street and Garfield Street is a big apartment complex. A number of apartments sit in there. There is over 550 elementary school kids that live in that apartment complex. In order to get them to schools, we were busing them off to 2 other schools, and the problem with that was a lot of those families didn't have transportation to get to after-school events and to stay involved in the schools as a family. So what we decided to do is what we call supersize Amistad and make it a school that can hold about 750 elementary school kids, bring all those apartment kids down into that school where we can create a community that they can walk to, a community where they can work on the kids' education all together at the same time. And so that's what we did with our K-3 class size reduction grants. In 2019, our voters approved another bond for $125 million, and that's going to finish Amistad, create the second wing on that building. The big project in there is it's going to rebuild Kennewick High School. The original Kennewick High School was built in 1952 when a man named Irwin S. Black was the superintendent of Kennewick Schools. And the rumor is that Irwin S. Black got some of the money to build Kennewick High School because he used to go back to Washington, D.C. to lobby, and he actually played cards with President Truman while he was back there. That's one of the old school rumors in the city of Kennewick. Kennewick High School is going to be a beautiful 2-story high school. In addition to that, we're going to try to expand all of our high schools so they can accommodate 2,000 kids. So at Kamaikan High School, we're going to add about 10 classrooms, and we're also going to remodel some of the athletic facilities out there. At Southridge High School, we'll do the same thing. We'll remodel, we'll add about 10 classrooms onto Southridge, remodel some of the athletic facilities. We're going to put AstroTurf fields on all of the fields at our high schools so that we can get some of the traffic off of Lamson, because now we have parents who have to come to Lamson Stadium early in the day to watch their kids play or late at night to watch their kids play or on off times. And we think we can create more opportunities for parents to watch their kids by improving our facilities at all of our high schools. In addition to that, we have a 10-year facilities plan in our school district. So in our bonds, we ask for money to meet the goals of our 10-year facilities plan. So we have elementary school number 18 as part of this bond, which will probably be somewhere along the Bob Olson Parkway if you've watched the growth out there. We're also going to remodel Ridgeview Elementary School. It'll be 30 years old during the life of this bond and expand it. And that's our facility stuff. We are really proud of that, and we think that that's part of what gives our district such a great image. In addition to the great instruction that goes on in our school, it's the facilities that we offer to our community and to our kids. The last thing I want to talk to you about is legislative impact. And I'm going to talk to you specifically about the School Employees Benefits Board. And I want to say something before I start into this, because this is about health care for our employees in our school districts. And I don't want you to misconstrue this to say that we're opposed to health care, we're concerned to health care. This is simply about the cost of health care to our local school districts. We want to provide the best health care we can to everybody, but we want you to understand the financial impact of doing that in our school districts. So starting in 2001, the School Employees Benefit Boards will administer health insurance and other benefits to all K-12 school districts and charter schools in the state of Washington. The School and Benefits Employees Board studies and approves comprehensive and cost-effective insurance plans for schools' employees and establishes eligibility criteria for participation in these plans. So every school employee will be part of SEB beginning in January of this year. So here's some of the concerns that we have around SEB. Every employee gets a full benefit allocation if they work 630 hours. This is the equivalent to working 3.5 hours a day for 180 days or 3.5 hours a day for a school year. This means that districts can no longer afford to have many part-time employees because the district only receives a prorated portion of the benefits package for those part-time employees. The district receives no additional funding for employees whose salaries are not state funded. So let me show you what that looks like in the next couple of slides. Every district uses some of their levy funding to hire support beyond what the state gives us. So a great example is school nurses. We have 28 schools in our district. We fund 16.8 nurses, but the state only funds 2.9 nurses. So they only give us benefits for those 2.9 nurses. Locally, we have to pick up the benefits cost for those additional nursing positions that we have that we think we need to keep our kids safe and healthy within our schools. That's part of the burden of the SEB on local school districts. We also hire additional paraeducators to work with struggling students to provide that individualized instruction for kids. Excuse me. And we pay them a prorated amount based on the number of hours they've worked. So here's what this might look like. We have 78 employees who work 3 hours or less. So they would receive a state apportionment of about 700, let's see. So they, guess what? This slide was not in my practice presentation. How's that? This is the one that was in my practice presentation. But I can bluff my way through this if you would like. No, this is the one I was ready to talk about. So here's an example of what it would cost a school district. If we have an employee who works 6 hours, which is not quite full-time, the monthly benefit that we pay for that employee in rounded numbers is $1,000. The prorated amount we get from the state is $750. So over the course of the year, that's a negative $3,000 for each employee in that situation to the school district. The second example down below is an employee who works 4 hours. Their monthly benefit is still $1,000, right? They still get full health benefits. They're entitled to that. The state gives us $500 for that employee, but the cost over the course of the year to us is a negative $6,000 out of our account. And again, I want to be honest with you. We want our employees to have great health care. We're just concerned about how we have to pay for that health care. And part of what when you read in the paper about cuts school districts are having to make, it's a result of trying to afford that health care for all of our employees. So in Kennewick, we're not going to lay off any employees. We have no plans to do that to make up that difference. We believe we can work towards the challenges by not replacing staff who have resigned or retired and do some internal moves. Some staff may have to work in 2 different buildings. Others may have to work in an area that's not their first choice for a job. But we think everyone will be able to keep their jobs and the same number of hours. We think this whole process of balancing out SEB and figuring out what it means to us is going to be a long-term process over the next couple of years. So that's one of our big challenges, a big financial challenge for us. I hope what you got out of my presentation is kind of who we are as Kennewick School District. We're a growing district, 19,000 kids, a big budget, $250 million. We have a great facilities program to meet the needs of that growing population, and we're working really hard to provide good quality health care for all of our employees and meet the challenges that brings to us. Thank you very much.
When I wake up in the morning and the alarm gives out a warning, I don't think I'll ever make it on time. By the time I grab my books and I give myself a look, I'm at the corner just in time to see the bus fly by. It's alright, 'cause I'm saved by the bell.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Greg. That's great to hear about what the Kennewick School District is doing. A lot on your guys' plates. We're seeing a lot of physical things going on, so appreciate the update on that. Our next speaker is Michelle Whitney, the superintendent of the Pasco School District. In July 2016, she was sworn in as the superintendent of the Pasco School District, and since then, she's been hitting the ground running, and running she has been. With over 2,000 employees, that serves more than 18,000 students in our community. Please help me welcoming Michelle.
So it is my absolute honor to welcome you to Pasco this evening, and I'm going to do that by saying we are Pasco. Yes, we are. That's how we do it. So for us in Pasco, that quote does recommend, or it represents a slogan that makes for some swanky t-shirts, I will say, and some great slogans and great letterhead. But it also, and it's an awesome way to get the attention of a large group of people. So use it, please. But it also for us is much broader than that, and it represents a collective commitment to really changing the lives of kids. We look into the eyes of every single one of our students, and we know them by name, strength, and need, and we design and build a program that will help those students actualize whatever the dream is that they have for themselves, regardless of the circumstances that they come from. I am proud to serve our community in the role of superintendent. While I say my title is superintendent, my role is to be of service, and I wake up every day proud to do that. And I'm equally as proud to be here today to share some information about Pasco with my colleagues. I do want to point out that 2 of my colleagues are retiring and leaving me behind. I'm not bitter about that, but I do wish them both well as they move forward. So in our district, we serve just over or almost 19,000 students. We're quickly catching up to Kennewick. We have 2,200 staff members. 1,200 of those are certificated, so any job that takes a certificate to be qualified to do it. And then we have over 1,000 classified employees, so your paraeducators, your food service, your bus attendants. And we have 22 schools to serve our students. We're proud to have a K-12 online school. We have 4 high schools. We have 2 large comprehensive high schools in Delta High School and Pasco High School, or excuse me, Chiawana High School and Pasco High School. We also house the collaborative high school that is operated between the 3 districts, which we believe is a very innovative approach to STEM education in this community, and we are proud to work together to serve our students in that regard. And then we also have New Horizons High School, which is a very innovative model that is actually co-located on our CBC campus. So those students we have a building that's on the CBC campus, and not only is it a co-location and partnership around the facility, but it's also a partnership around the programs that New Horizons offers, and there's some stacked crediting opportunities for our students where they can earn credits at New Horizons High School that actually gives them a leg up when they go to CBC if that's what they choose to do. What we know is our first generation college-bound students, the barrier to getting them to college is envisioning themselves on a college campus. So our New Horizons High School students literally walk across the parking lot and are on a college campus. So that is a way that we remove that barrier for our students who want to continue a 2-year program at CBC. We have 15 elementary schools, and I'll give a little more of an update in our facilities toward the end of the presentation. This is our enrollment history. This slide shows our enrollment history from 2012 to 2018, and you can see a significant increase. And so while Kennewick says their enrollment has been steady, it's been easy to manage, the Pasco story around facility has been different than that. Ours has been rapid and complicated to manage. So we were very grateful to our community who passed a bond recently that is allowing us to add 2 elementaries, a replacement of a middle school and an additional middle school to our inventory. Was the largest bond our community has ever seen, passed by the narrowest margin our community has ever seen, which was 7 votes. So my goal is to pass the next one by at least 10. So if you could help me with that, that would be great. This slide shows our enrollment growth from 2012 to 2018, but the full story is that kind of growth has been happening for a couple of decades in Pasco. So, like I said, we serve almost 19,000 students, of which you can see the demographics of the ethnicity breakdowns there. The piece I wanted to highlight here, I would touch a little bit on the free and reduced percentage for us is about 66, almost 67% in Pasco. That has a change for us. We've been typically in the high 70s. There's a lot of factors that could be influencing that percentage. We're growing differently in Pasco than we have in the past in terms of the housing market and where those houses are located. There's also a different political context that may be impacting our families who are signing up for that benefit. But the piece I really wanted to highlight for you today is 33.4% of our students are designated by the state as English language learners. But even more exciting than that for me, 56% of our kids come to us already speaking another language. So our vision for Pasco starting next fall is an expansion of our already existing one-way dual language programs and our two-way dual language programs, with the explicit goal that over the next 3 to 5 years, any student in Pasco School District that wants to be bilingual starting in kindergarten can have a bilingual experience K-12. So we're expanding our two-way dual language program, is currently housed at 2 of our schools, McClintock and Maya, and we're expanding that program into 4 additional schools next year. Like it's 200% increase in a year. We're very excited about that. And like I said, our ultimate goal is that any kindergarten student, as they enter our school, can choose to become bilingual and have that K-12 bilingual experience, with the ultimate goal of being bilingual, biliterate, and having a solid foundation in what it means to navigate a bicultural environment. We are very proud of an increase in our certificated staff retention. So our retention in 2014, I don't think was anything to be sad about. We were retaining about 91%, almost 92% of our employees. That is now a little over 95% of our employees. Certificated staff, again, are any of us that have a certificate, that our jobs are required to have a certificate. So teachers, administrators, etc. We really think a factor of our retention is being able to offer a competitive compensation package. And I also believe that we are seeing an increase in staff morale and connectedness to the work in Pasco School District. We've have increased perception survey data from our staff saying that there was an increase in 26% increase in our staff's perception over the last 2 years in how they feel about working in Pasco School District. So offering a competitive package and an environment where people feel connected to the mission and connected to each other and connected to our kids, from our perspective, is resulting in an increase in retention. You can see here that an entry-level teacher makes about almost $52,000 a year now. A mid-range teacher is almost $78,000, and then at the upper end of the salary scale is a little over $100,000. Now, these are, for those of you who work a 260-day year, if you were to translate this into a full-year contract, it would start around $60,000 and then top out at about $120,000 a year. We also, like I mentioned, we're adding schools to our inventory, which is always an exciting time for a school district. So we're opening Three Rivers Elementary in the fall of 2019. It is located at the intersection of 84 and Massey Drive. It's right by Chiawana High School. So it's a big building going in right behind Chiawana High School. It will help ease overcrowding at our most over-enrolled students, or at our over-enrolled schools, and it is our 16th elementary. It'll be about 72,000 square feet. One of the really exciting things that happened in collaboration and coordination with planning to open our new elementaries is a commitment to inclusion on our playgrounds. And we launched an innovative approach to posting a request for proposals to playground vendors. And we were so thrilled by what we got. And the request for proposals was very specific about our playground equipment being inclusive, which is very different than just ADA compliant. ADA compliance is a great place to start, and it means that there's access, but a truly inclusive playground means that kids, regardless of ability, can play together shoulder to shoulder. They can have the same kind of experience, whether I'm an able-bodied student or a typically developing student, or if I have some challenges and barriers and need some different supports, that we can be together on our playground equipment. I saw an amazing example of this just on my way here. I stopped at Robert Frost, who's having a special education Olympics field day, and you see your typically developing youth partnering with students who need a little bit of help and support, and there is nothing more inspiring in the universe than to see those two students side by side having an amazing field day together. So we expanded that philosophy and commitment beyond a field day to say we're making that commitment to ensure that that happens on our playgrounds. So our schools that are built from here forward will follow the same process that resulted in this fully inclusive piece of playground equipment being selected for Three Rivers. The same process will be used for any schools that open from here on out. And then we're also looking at building a plan to retrofit those schools that were not designed under this same umbrella. We will be the first designated fully inclusive playground in Washington State. So you can see on this map, the red dots equal those fully inclusive playgrounds, and you can see Pasco there as the first in Washington State. So again, when we say we are Pasco, it makes for a great t-shirt, but it really is a representation of something bigger. Columbia River will open in the fall of 2020. It'll be located off of Burns, between Road 90 and Broadmoor Boulevard. That'll be our 17th elementary. Again, it'll be about 72,000 square feet. We use the same plan to develop each school site, and that's a cost savings measure for our community. It will be co-located on land with middle school number 4 that has just recently been named. Our school board selected the name Ray Reynolds Middle School for this building. It was just approved at our school board meeting last Tuesday, so we're proud of that. Those of you who are from this community, I see some of you shaking your head, remember the man who was Ray Reynolds, and he was a tremendous servant to not only our country as a veteran, but also to this community as a tremendous impact on student lives. So we're proud to name the school after him. It will be, like I said, co-located with Columbia River Elementary, and that was another cost savings effort. If we could co-locate those two schools, it was a cost savings measure. This school will be about 115,000 square feet. We are also replacing and expanding Stevens Middle School. Is there anyone in the room who went to Stevens Middle School? No? No? McLaughlin, okay. Go Panthers, go Panthers, yes. That school was built in 1961, so we're replacing it and expanding it on its current site. And so it will remain at the heart of Pasco. That was very important to our community, that the Central Pasco retained a middle school in Central Pasco. And with the availability of land in Central Pasco being very low, we are rebuilding the building right on its current site, kind of in the back corner. Students are still going to school at Stevens Middle School while the school is being built. Once the new Stevens is open, we'll move the kids across the parking lot to the new Stevens. Sadly, the old Stevens will have to be demolished, and then that will be retrofitted with playgrounds, parking lots, play fields, etc. for kids. So again, an innovative approach to retain a school in Central Pasco for our Central Pasco kids who deserve to go to school in the neighborhood where they live, and really a huge commitment from our community from beginning to end to approach this project that way. I'm proud to report that our projects are on time and on budget, which, given some of the barriers and challenges with weather, was a Herculean effort, but also construction cost escalation. I know many of you in this room are probably navigating the construction environment right now and finding the same things happening to you. From projected cost to actual cost, there was a big difference for us. And so the capital projects team, led by Assistant Superintendent Susana Reyes and her colleague Randy Nunemaker, had to really work hard to make sure that we could deliver the things that we promised our patrons in our bond in an environment where the construction costs are escalating at such a high rate. So being on time and on budget was not a simple factor for us in this particular bond. With that, I am going to close my time today with you with a visual representation of the progress around our school facilities, and I'd like to publicly thank our public affairs staff, who has done an amazing job in visually representing these projects over time. And thank you for my time here with you, and I would be available after.
Thank you so much, Michelle. What a great presentation to learn about. And I'm always a three birds, one stone kind of guy. When I hear the thought about the inclusion and the process of planning, that's how you do it, and you start early. You start in the playgrounds, and it runs from there. So it was really great to hear that. All right, closing it out, Dr. Rick Schulte, Superintendent of the Richland School District. Rick became Superintendent of July 2013. During his tenure as Superintendent, he has guided Richland School District through over $200 million of bond measures. He's also led the district through several initiatives, including implementation of full-day kindergarten, launching the district's one-to-one technology initiatives, and early education programs as the new Early Learning Center. Please help me in welcoming the man with the best ties in town, Dr. Rick Schulte.
Yeah, I knew that Kennewick and Pasco were going to precede me, and so I figured that I had to do something a little bit different, but it's not going to be very different. So if you get the idea that most of what we do is construction, you're probably about right. And actually, to get some idea of the scale and scope of it, by the time we're done with our 2017 bond, we will have done $300 million worth of school construction in Richland. If you combine that with Kennewick and Pasco, you get to $1 billion. So the three districts combined over a period of 8 or 9 years have done $1 billion worth of school construction. That's a really important thing for our students. It's an important thing for our community. We employ people that work locally. We pay local sales taxes to our cities and our county and that sort of a thing. So we are a big contributor to the business in the cities of the Tri-Cities. So I'm going to start with construction. Jefferson Elementary is our newest elementary school. It's opened on George Washington Way. One of the reasons I'm starting with this is that to some degree, and one way of looking at it, it's a free school. It's kind of a bonus school. It wasn't anticipated when we started the 2013 bond election that we were going to be able to replace Jefferson Elementary. We thought we were only going to be able to replace the 10 classrooms in the 1952 wing. But by good management and by getting extra state funding, which you will talk about in a little bit, we were able to completely replace Jefferson Elementary and use the old Jefferson Elementary for an early learning center. Again, we'll show you that a little bit later. So again, the 13 bond projects. Leona Libby Middle School is brand new because of growth at the middle school level. Lewis and Clark and Marcus Whitman were replacement schools. Lewis and Clark, Marcus Whitman, and Jefferson that I just showed you are 3 of 6 schools that are being built on the same design. So we used a prototypical school design to save both time and money with the design process, and we're able to build the same school 6 times with minor modifications. We did it right the first time, so we didn't have to do a whole lot of changes to it. But every time we build a school, we learn from our experience. We make small changes to it so that we can upgrade it to the needs that really occur in the classrooms and with our teachers and with our students. Other 13 bond projects. Orchard Elementary is the only one of our new elementaries that was not a prototypical school design. It's not a prototypical school design because the Homeowners Association had covenants there that prevented a two-story building. So we built a 1-story building there instead of a 2-story building. We did not do the prototypical school design there. Sacagawea was also the prototypical school design. Three Rivers Homelink is interesting. Three Rivers Homelink is actually a modular building that was built in Salem, Oregon in 18 pieces and trucked up to Richland and put together in about a week. So the finishing work took another month or 2, but because we used a prototypical design, we're able to have a school quickly at low cost with engineering done in advance and the total amount of construction time done very quickly on site because it was mostly constructed in a factory. It was so well done, and we expect this to be, it's not a portable building. This is a permanent building on a permanent foundation that's going to last as long as a regular school. We were so pleased with this that we actually repeated it, so we built 3 more modular buildings. One at Richland High, one at Hanford High, and one at William Wiley Elementary. We added 36 new classrooms in this modular design here. They're permanent schools. They're not portable schools. They're going to be there. They're going to be maintained for the long term. Couple other things we did. We replaced the visitor side bleachers and the press box and the concession stand and the restrooms at Friendrich Stadium. Any of you who were here 6 years ago might remember when the R disappeared. I want you to look closely that the R is there again. So We replaced the R. It had to go in order to do the work that we were going to do, but it went too fast. It went earlier than we thought it was going to, and it didn't have all the notice that people expected. But the R is back. There's also an H on the other side, since Richland and Hanford share the same stadium there. And at Chief Joe, we replaced the HVAC system. Chief Joe is one of our older middle schools right now. The HVAC system is a quality system. It's designed to last for the remaining length of the school. Probably that school will be replaced in about 15 or 20 years. But that HVAC system is designed to last for that period of time. We're actually putting a new roof on Chief Joe this summer. So that new roof also will be designed to last for 15 or 20 years, after which we'll likely be in the process of replacing it. One of the things we're also especially proud of is that I mentioned earlier that we got a lot more state money than we thought we were going to get. So at the time that we proposed the 2013 bond, we told people that we were going to ask for $98 million in local money. That's the orange part of this circle, this pie. And we were going to get about $30 million of state money. That's the blue part. So that was our plan. That's what we thought we were going to be able to get. This is what we actually got. And you have to imagine that the pie is actually bigger. So the orange part, the local money, is still $98 million. The blue part, the state money, increased from an expected $30 million up to about $40 million. We got, up to about $70 million total, an extra $40 million. So we got a lot more state money, and part of the reason for that is because of good management. So there's a state formula for what qualifies for state match, and if you know the system really well, you can make sure that you do the things that qualify for state match and don't do the things that don't qualify for state match. So we were able to do that and greatly expand the amount of projects that we were able to do there. The yellow slice is PILT, payment in lieu of taxes. That's something we get from the Department of Energy because Hanford doesn't pay local property taxes. And the gray part there is from investment earnings. So we actually get investment earnings when we have $100 million to invest. Even at a low interest rate, that money adds up over the time. So what's coming? We passed another bond in 2017. So we're doing elementary number 11. Elementary number 11 is on Belmont Avenue in West Richland. It doesn't have a name because it's going to be the temporary home for Tapteel Elementary, because we're going to tear down Tapteel Elementary, build a new school at Tapteel Elementary, and move Tapteel to elementary number 11. So it will be named Tapteel for 1 year. And then the Tapteel students will move back to Tapteel, and Badger Mountain Elementary will move to elementary number 11, which will then become Badger Elementary. And after that, we will get a new name. And we will not be elementary number 11. It will be something else, and we will have figure out what that new name is going to be. The Early Learning Center at the bottom, that's another thing we're able to accomplish with the 2017 bond. The Early Learning Center is the old Jefferson Elementary. So it's right next to the new Jefferson Elementary. It was built in 1982 because we tore down the 1952 wing. We house 12 early learning classrooms there. So ECAP, Head Start, some special ed preschool is located there. The state legislature just allocated in their capital budget another $800,000 to help further renovate and update this early learning center. We're very proud of that building there. It's a good addition to the school district. And by moving preschool out of regular schools and into this early learning center, we freed up 12 classrooms in those other schools to allow us to meet class size goals and full-day kindergarten goals and that sort of a thing. Some other things that are coming with the 2017 bond, a new district office. We call it the Teaching, Learning, and Administration Center. It's going to be located in West Richland, right next to Libby Middle School. Also adjacent to that is 70 acres that we purchased for a third high school. We'll be looking at building a third high school sometime in the next 4 or 5 years. That'll require a new bond election, and we're probably going to begin program planning for that next year because that's a major thing that's going to dramatically change the high school experience in Richland. I mentioned the new Badger Mountain Elementary is also coming. Further upgrades to Franrich Stadium. So we already did the visitor side. We're going to do the home side. New bleachers, new concession stand, new locker rooms, new restrooms, and a new field. And it'll be a field turf field, multi-use field that can be used nonstop 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks of the year. So it's going to get a lot more use than we can do with a grass field. Hanford High is going to get something similar. It's not going to be as big as Fran-Rich Stadium, but they're going to get a renovated field with field turf that can serve many, many different needs. One of the interesting things about the project at Hanford is that the Hanford football field currently is located on land that's about 3/4 owned by Washington State University and only 1/4 owned by the school district. In working with Washington State University, we just got approval from their Board of Regents to swap some land. So we're going to give them a practice soccer field, and they're going to give us all the rest of our football field so that we can build a new stadium there on land that actually we own, which will be very good for us for a long period of time. Part of the agreement is that we're going to do some co-branding. So that stadium will be co-branded to serve both the Hanford High School Falcons and the Washington State University Cougars. And we've talked to them about the possibility of maybe doing spring football training here in the Tri-Cities or having perhaps a scrimmage here in the Tri-Cities. So yeah. So let Wazoo know that that's a good idea, and we really want to do that. So, also, Richland High Auditorium is going to get an upgrade. And that upgrade design has already started. Construction will probably begin after Christmas so that the Nutcracker can do what it needs to do. But that construction is going to take about 9 months. So there will be one winter where the Nutcracker has to relocate to another site. But that's about a $10 million project for the Richland High Auditorium. It's the biggest auditorium in terms of seating capacity in the Tri-Cities. That's why the Nutcracker uses that all the time. We're very excited about the ability to upgrade the auditorium there. Finally, elementary number 12, we already have the land for that. It's at Badger Mountain South, where the Country Mercantile is back there. A lot of growth happening back there. I know that there are a whole bunch of, I think 267 apartments that are under construction over there. We're going to need a school there probably sooner rather than later, and we've got the money for that. We've got the design for that because it's going to be a second prototypical design. We're not using the same prototypical design. We're doing a second one just to show that we can do it. As others have said, we're growing. Our population is growing. It's been growing for an extended period of time. We expect it'll continue to grow. We're still buying more land and looking to find more land. So we're working with the Department of Natural Resources, the Bureau of Land Management, and private landowners to purchase additional land because we expect that we're going to need a new elementary school every 2 or 3 years, a new middle school maybe every 4 or 5 years. And high schools don't happen as often, so the high schools may be once every 10 or 15 years. But we're going to keep needing that land, and you have to buy that land well in advance of when you need it. So moving away from construction, because actually as educators we do something besides build schools and spend money on construction. And I want to highlight one of the needs that we have, all 3 districts in the Tri-Cities and statewide as well. So more behavioral health issues are occurring, more students living in poverty, and you saw that both from Kennewick and from Pasco. The same thing is happening in Richland. So our poverty rate about 10 years ago was 10%. Today it's about 40%. That's 40% of our students who qualify for free reduced lunch. That's a big increase from 10% to 40%, and we expect that to continue. More English language learners, another thing that you heard from Pasco and Kennewick. About 10 years ago we had 200. Now we have 1,000. And so that number is dramatically increasing, and we have to develop new programs in order to serve those students. More worrisome, more concerning is our mental health issues that are occurring with our students. Every 2 years, the state gives a healthy youth survey to all students in grades 6, 8, 10, and 12. We just got the results back from the most recent survey, and this is consistent with what we see statewide. It's consistent with what we've seen in past surveys. 1 in 3 students report depressive feelings, and there's a lot of different questions that go into making up that conclusion. 1 in 4 students seriously consider suicide. 1 in 5 have made a suicide plan, and 1 in 10 have attempted suicide. That's 1 in 10 out of about 7,000 students. That means about 700 students in Richland School District have actually done something that they self-report as attempted suicide. Every year you probably see in the news media that some student in the Tri-Cities has committed suicide. So this is a real problem. It's a bigger problem than school shootings that you see in other areas because it happens every year, it happens more than once every year, and it's getting worse. So because we give this survey every 2 years, we can see that over the last 8-year period of time, both locally and statewide, the number of students reporting each of these depressive feelings, this consideration of suicide, the suicide plan, and the attempted suicide, it's increasing everywhere. Why is it increasing? I have a student advisory committee of about 15 high school students that I meet with every month. They wanted to talk about this. And they wanted to talk about it an hour and a half at a time for 2 or 3 meetings. They even came to a school board meeting subsequently to report to the school board. The things that are causing the stress and depression to them are not things that you might think of. So it's not that they're worried about school shootings. It's not that they're worried about politics nationally or incivility or something like that. The things that are driving them to depression and worry and mental health problems are the things, some of them, that we as parents and teachers and educators are doing to them. We're saying that beginning in 6th and 7th and 8th grade, you need to have a career plan for your life. Think about that. I did not have a career plan for my life. I'm not sure I still have a career plan for my life. But that's a stressful thing when we start telling students at 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you have to have a career plan for your life. And you're going to write it down, and you're going to choose classes and choose things that you're going to do because of that career plan for your life. Then on top of that, we say that you have to go to college or some kind of post-secondary education. And it can't be just any college. It has to be a quality college. And in order to get into a quality college, you're going to have to get A's and B's. Actually, you have to get A's. Even an A- isn't good enough. You have to get A's. And you have to be involved in activities, and you have to be involved in service clubs, and you have to be involved with your church, and you have to do volunteer things. So our students are getting very stressed out by that. Our best students, I mean, it's across the realm of students that we have there, whether they're low income or not low income, whether they're achieving high or not achieving high, they're experiencing the same kind of stress. So the state has been doing some things to help school districts. You know, you're familiar with the McCleary Supreme Court decision. Some of the positive things they've done, and you've heard a little bit about that. We have full-day kindergarten. We have reduced class sizes in kindergarten through 3rd grade. They recently lifted the levy lid after cutting it way back and taking away a lot of our levy money. They've restored some of that opportunity. They've increased special ed funding a little bit. Our deficit in special ed in Richland is about $2 million, and they're going to give us an extra $400,000. So, you know, it's just barely scratching the surface, and that's typical statewide. The statewide deficit in special ed funding is about $400 million. So there's a lot more that needs to be done on that. What the state is not doing, and this ties into the mental health, is that they're not providing us all the support we need in terms of staffing for addressing those mental health and those behavior issues. So this graphic shows the state has a prototypical school staffing model. This is what they are willing to pay for. This is what they say constitutes part of basic education that the state will pay for. 1 counselor for 470 students. I hope you can see in the graphic that that's not enough. The counselors would recommend that there should be 1 counselor for every 250 students. So this is about half the number of counselors that we actually need. And most of these counselors can only do academic and career counseling because they don't have time to do any of the mental health type counseling that we really need. Another aspect of the prototypical staffing model, and I couldn't put as many students here as I would have wanted. So I couldn't put all 14,000 of our students. So instead of showing every student, I showed how many schools. We have 18 schools in Richland School District. The staffing model from the state provides 2 nurses for 18 schools. That means that about once every 9 months, a school will get a visit from a nurse. Likewise, only 1 social worker. So about once a year, a school would get a visit from a social worker. And less than 1 school psychologist. So maybe once every 1.5 years or once every 2 years, they would get a visit from a school psychologist. Wildly inadequate. A big problem given the other needs that I identified there from the Healthy Youth Survey and from what our students tell us. We can do more, and we are doing more. So our local levy supplies some of the things that we can do more. So we have more school psychologists than they allow us, more than they pay for. So every one of our elementary schools will have a school psychologist next year. And we'll have shared school psychologists at the secondary level, and we're working towards getting a school psychologist at each of our secondary schools as well. Communities and schools that you may be familiar with provide social workers. We have 9 social workers provided through communities and schools to serve our 18 schools, and we're looking at increasing that as time goes on. We do suicide awareness and prevention with our school psychs, with our counselors, with our teachers, with our principals, so that we recognize symptoms of that and can refer students to the help that they need. And we hire more school nurses than the state provides for. More than the 2, we have about 8 right now. We're looking at working towards 10 or 12 school nurses, in addition to having a health aide at every one of our schools. So that's what Richland is doing besides construction. In closing, I just want to make a couple personal comments. This is my last year in Richland, after having been, actually it's my last year in the school district. I may stay in Richland. I've been here for 6 years, 45 years as an educator, 26 years as a superintendent. And I want to tell you that the Tri-Cities is an incredibly welcoming place. I really, from the very beginning, felt welcomed here. I'm not a native of the area. But I made friends quickly. Nobody's run me off the road when I'm on my bicycle, and I feel good about that. The support that the community gives to the schools is incredible. This is a place that people should want to come to because of your support for the schools, and we routinely recruit teachers, counselors, bus drivers, custodians. We recruit them from all across the region. And one of the things that our strong recruiting efforts is because we have such a strong supportive community. So thank you to everybody in the Tri-Cities for supporting schools the way you do.
All right, Rick, that was amazing and a lot to take in. My favorite part early on was the modular building part, because I think that's just very innovative and forward-thinking, and definitely probably a leaner way to look at things. So before we adjourn, we have our Chamber's program manager, Logan LaPierre, to come up here and give away some of our door prizes real fast. Let's welcome Logan.
Okay, here we go. No cheating. All right, so our first door prize, we have 2 baskets from Giza here. Our first one is going to Carrie Reynolds with Spotted Fox. All right, our second prize is going to Jay Freeman of Edward Jones. You can go ahead and pick. Lastly, we have an admission ticket to Ask the Experts that we offer in partnership with STCU, and that one is going to Devin Diaz with Mid-Columbia Libraries.
All right, thank you, Logan. Thank you for our winners. Yeah, we have a chance real fast to thank our sponsors. Let's thank Giza Credit Union for sponsoring today's luncheon. Applause for our superintendents, Greg Fancher, Michelle Whitney, and Dr. Rick Schulte for participating in today's program. Our networking partner, Ag World Support Systems, see Warren on the way out to talk about this charity golf tournament coming up. Let's give one for Warren. One more for the wonderful staff, the Pasco Red Lion, for hosting us today. Thank you, Red Lion. And I want you to give yourself a clap for being here and applauding and listening to everyone. I know everyone's very busy. So, in closing, we hope you join us next Wednesday for the aforementioned STCU Ask the Expert session on commercial real estate. I hear that maybe I might be a person on that one, so I look forward to being there. Laser focused, 90 minutes, all commercial real estate, and I look forward to seeing you guys there next Wednesday. To learn more, please take a flyer on the way out at the registration desk and contact our office. The next chamber luncheon will be Wednesday, June 26th at the Columbia Center Red Lion. Our guest speaker will be Renee Sunday, the president and CEO of Washington Retail Association, so we hope you can join us there. Thank you again. We appreciate your time and efforts, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a safe holiday weekend. Thank you, everyone.